You can stand in the corner, you can sit around with the kids if you're, we're gonna be using this. Okay, before we get started, I need someone to serve as a Spanish language translator.
I can do that as well.
No, because you're gonna have to be involved. So if you do this, you can't do the video.
He's filmed.
Do I know the most Spanish here? All right.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, someone has to speak the Spanish.
I can speak Spanish.
Well, I
Very vital.
also need a husband.
Can I be the husband?
Yes, you can, yes, you can.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And now, I need, who's going to be the medical physician?
Do I have to speak Spanish?
No.
Okay.
All right, we've got an OT social worker, got a social worker, a nurse, got the nurse and pharmacist. All right, this is the scenario, it's a two-part scenario. The first part is the 17-year-old individual who's giving birth need to have a sincere scenario. Gosh. C-section. We're doing this too long today. And the primary purpose at this point is for the physician to get consent. After we get the consent, then we're gonna move to part 2, which is going to be around the baby where the other disciplines will come into play. Okay? So, we will start with the physician.
Does she have a name?
Anna.
Anna?
I need the husband. Who's have a seat.
Oh.
You're sitting there by your wife.
Your husband's fresh.
Okay, whenever you are ready.
Lights, camera, action.
Yes.
Hi there, Anna. It's Dr. Wing. How are you feeling?
She does when she's ready. Go ahead.
When she's having technical difficulties.
Now she does. Working on that. Must be you guys. All of a sudden it's not working.
Is the camera rolling?
But let's keep going because you gotta talk, you're talking with the husband
Oh.
too. Yeah.
Hi, so I'm Dr. Wing. Hola. Oh, sí. Hola. Hola.
No, you don't just, you have to go out again. You don't holler across there.
Oh, I didn't know it was like part of the skit. Okay.
Yes, you're gonna play
Un
this
momento. AOS mi.
Hola, soy David. Voy a ayudar con la transacción de con el doctor a lo mejor que yo puedo, porque no mi español no es perfecto. ¿Hablas español?
Sí.
Like relate to the patient.
Is it working?
Yeah.
Okay. Anna, do you know what's going on right now?
Ana, ¿sabes lo que anda pasando ahorita con tu condición? ¿Sabes la situación en que estás al momento? La severidad.
I think she should just come in the room, though, right?
But you are also assuming that you gotta get the consent from her. The deal is just to get the consent. You still got a husband there.
Okay. So right now we're having an issue with your wife and her delivery. It seems that we're gonna have to perform a C-section if we want to get the baby out with the best outcome.
Lo que dice el doctor es hay problema con el pasaje del niño sobre lo que es normal. Dice que para ayudar al bebé van a necesitar que hacer cirugía.
¿Qué es eso?
Cortar el abdomen.
Yeah, and so we understand that she has anemia, and that is something that we're aware of, and
Es peligroso, ¿verdad?
So,
Is
yes,
it
it is.
dangerous?
It's not very dangerous. This has been performed on a number of people.
No es tan peligroso, bastante gente, lo han hecho en bastante gente.
Of course, the anemia is gonna complicate it.
Porque ella no tiene bastante,
But,
tiene un problema con su sangre donde no hay tanto oxígeno al cuerpo y eso va a complicar la cirugía.
But our doctors have done this procedure on many people who also have anemia.
Pero los doctores sí han hecho este mismo cirugía en otros pacientes que tienen la misma condición de la sangre.
Of course, there is potential for complications, but it isn't very likely. But you should be aware that this is something that we have to keep in mind.
Aunque la posibilidad de que algo malo va a pasar es mínimo, si tienes que saber que sí hay la chance que algo malo pueda pasar.
And right now, if we want to save the baby and have your wife come out of this healthy, we're gonna need, it would be best for us to perform a C-section.
Al momento si queremos que sacar al niño y ayudar a tu esposa, vamos a tener que hacer esta cirugía y necesitamos tu consento.
So yeah, I'm gonna need her.
All right. Woo. Got consent. All right, now she has delivered. Now we have a baby.
After two.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So
let's-
like this part, what do I,
Ooh.
Yeah.
do you know about that? Do I need to go over and ask?
No, yes.
It's iron or red blood cells. It's red blood cells is sometimes
Okay.
So you still the husband?
Still husband,
Yeah,
yeah.
yes, so
Yeah.
you're going to be here because now you're worried about your baby. You'll hear about your baby. Now, the nurse is the coordinator, is the person, okay? The nurse will come up. You're responsible for coordinating all the other, how's your phone fall? No, come on. You're now in charge in coordinating all the other therapies that will come into play and dealing directly with the child, okay? So-
Okay,
This is your baby.
yeah.
Okay, translator.
All right, okay, so, baby's already out, would the physician be coming in?
That's your coordinate, that's your role. You're trying to make sure everybody is coming in doing what they need to do.
Oh, hi.
Yes, talk to
Hola. Hola, buenos días. Me llamo Diana y soy más
You speak English. You're not here to talk to her in Spanish. If
Does
you
she
need-
talk Spanish?
But if you need someone,
You don't
what do you
talk
do?
Spanish in this
You don't
scenario.
talk Spanish in this scenario.
Oh, I'm
Hey.
in this scenario.
Yes, yes. You only speak English in this scenario. So, what do you do?
Okay, so, un momento. I'll go ahead and get myself a translator.
Yeah. You got a translator.
Translator.
That's why we have a translator.
Yeah, can you go ahead and let her know that I'm gonna be her nurse for today, and I'm gonna, go ahead and call the doctor.
Ella es la enfermera y ahorita va a llamar al doctor.
Yeah, and just, to see if he can come in, or I can get any, a report.
Para ver si él puede venir para agarrar reporte como si the mother's wish is to bring in a folk doctor
El huevito.
to help with what is bad vibes.
Yeah, so I completely understand, and I'll go ahead and, look up, get someone for her.
Dice que sí sabe.
You are assuming, you haven't talked to the team that you're going to honor her wish, and you don't even know it's a traditional wish, is whether or not that is something that's even totally acceptable.
Oh, okay.
Think about what she's asking,
Uh-huh.
okay?
Which are potentially in another city. Not wrong.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So how would you respond if
I would-
you're still getting this request? How would you
I
respond?
would seek approval from the, of course, okay. We'll let her know, I'll go ahead and talk to her, doctor to see if it's approved by him.
Dice que va a tener, ahorita va a ir a hablar con el doctor y el equipo para ver si si es algo que podemos hacer.
Then,
Bring in the next.
okay, okay, so OT. Hi. Nice to meet you. I'm the occupational therapist here at the hospital.
Hola, ella ayuda con terapia de ocupación.
And I just wanted to discuss with you some of the things that we're going to be working on with your baby. Since your baby was born prematurely, we want to make sure that we are monitoring her to make sure that she is meeting the developmental milestones that are appropriate for her age.
Lo que van a hacer es mirar que el bebé, porque sí salió poco antes del tiempo, van a ver si el bebé anda creciendo normalmente como nosotros.
Sí, pero necesitamos la curadera.
She insists on full touch.
Okay, that is something that we can address with your doctor to see if it is something that he approves of.
Eso es algo que sí pueden hablar con el doctor a ver si es algo que pueden hacer.
No quiero hacer algo until la curadera.
She refuses to do anything further. He refuses to do anything further until the full touch.
Yeah, and she's a she. Doctora.
Doctora,
Yeah.
You know what I
We're
keep
assuming
talking
the
to you,
woman
which
with
is
the
what I'm
baby,
talking to?
yeah.
Well, you
Yeah.
should go ahead and tell her about what you're going to do, what your purpose is.
Okay. Well, let me just give you some information as far as your child. So one of the things you want to be looking out for is if they're being overstimulated in their environment.
Lo que sí van a hacer es quieren ver si que el niño no tiene bastante estimulante de lo que es normal para el niño.
One of the things that you can look out for is if she is experiencing or having excessive crying.
Es algo, una cosa es si anda llorando bastante.
Okay, and that would mean that maybe there's too much light that's affecting the way they are processing. Also that maybe the blankets are causing too much stimulation to them.
Lo que puede ser es mucha luz o también fábrica que a lo mejor le anda irritación al piel.
And then one of the other things that we would like to do is when your wife wakes up, speak with her regarding care for your newborn. Just address some of the ways that you can be working with your child to make sure that they are meeting those milestones in the future.
Algo que sí es necesario es cuando pueda tu esposa hablar con ella sobre qué pueden hacer para ayudar que el niño crezca a lo que es normal para su edad.
Okay, do you have any questions at this time?
¿Tienes preguntas para la...?
Gracias. Or if she doesn't have any questions, I'll go ahead and bring in the social worker so she can talk to her.
Ahorita, sí, porque no tienes preguntas, ahora van a traer a la otra persona del equipo que es...
Hola, Mr. Hugo. Mucho gusto. I'm Maribel, I'm the social worker, and I'm going to be helping you and the team understand a little bit more about your culture and where you're coming from.
Ella está aquí para ayudar a que el equipo conozca más de tu cultura.
I would just have a couple of questions for you regarding, I know your socioeconomic status.
What you're asking about?
Yeah, I'm asking.
Ella quiere saber qué es tu... Sí, ¿en dónde trabajas? Tú y tu esposo.
15 minutes is done. Please begin your debriefing. Please begin your debriefing.
Yeah.
So Anna has no health insurance and has been unable to obtain any regular prenatal care.
Okay, so, is this the reason, that your wife is anemic, that you weren't able to, get care? Do you have enough food to feed your family right now? Or when you get out of the hospital, do you have a plan to take care of your child?
No, she doesn't have enough money for vitamins.
Okay.
She's never taken any, she's anemic, and she's been exposed to harmful pesticides.
Okay, then from here, we would contact, a lot, resources that could help you get some, benefits for your child, you can be taken care of, maybe, contact you with, I don't know who you call it, with pesticides. Poison control, maybe to explain to you where you got those pesticides from and how it's affecting you, your family, and your health. Where did you say you worked? Or you didn't?
Let's get the phone system here very
Okay.
quickly before.
Go.
we have to-
Hi, I'm the pharmacist.
Hi, I speak English.
Okay, I guess points I would hit. So there are specific, medications or, herbs that might be safe for your baby and some that might not be. Have you heard of any, I guess if these type of medications that have been used on maybe your friend's babies or any, no?
No, nobody has money for medications.
Oh, I mean like herbal, like, you know,
yes.
plants or anything like that. So, there's this one called, mint that, you know, people use for blood circulation, and another one called, ginger that people, you know, rub on the baby's belly, you know, to help with, to help calm them. And these are relatively safe for the baby. But just make sure that if you want to try anything on your baby, then you make sure to call your pharmacist first, make sure that it's safe, that it's okay. And it's also really important to know that herbs or anything that you get here in the United States versus outside of the country might be different. You can't assume that they're the same. And so you would want to contact your local pharmacist for that too, just to make sure everything is safe and your baby's unharmed by whatever you might want to try to help her with.
Ginger mint.
So, can you identify any principal values or what was the conflict during this scenario?
And you,
What,
Language barrier?
language barrier is one, what else?
Also
The
the fact,
cultural request?
The cultural aspect?
I'm not really sure if this was the case, but was the patient supposed to be conscious?
Wow.
Or-
She was,
Okay.
three scenarios.
Because if she wasn't, I was gonna say
Yeah.
the fact that
Sorry.
you have to get
But
consent.
she
from her.
wasn't fully conscious of the whole issue of consent. And getting a consent from her as well as from the husband, the question then become, can they truly and fully give consent? Did they really understand? Let's look at some of the terminology and the phrases that was used by the physician. How do you know that they really understood what you were telling them needed to be done and everything else?
what is the answer here? Is it without a consent, enough consent, the partner?
But, so what did you want me to explain, anemia?
Well, it could be, because you made the assumption that they knew the term anemia. You're talking about immigrants here. They may not have, and even though you had a translator, you're assuming the translator did. And in some cases, you may not have a trained translator.
Yeah, yeah, I guess I
And
could have
so
gotten into that more.
Yeah, you've gotta kind of think about that, and, when all else fell, you can use family members, but use it with caution, and only if you have no other choice, because sometimes family members don't want the other family members to know about their health issues. Mom may not want daughter to know everything that she has done, especially when you're trying to collect history and that kind of stuff. They don't want the other family members to know what their life is, because I have things I will never tell anyone else in my family about. And so therefore, I don't want them to be there. But it becomes that whole question of consent, who's giving the consent? Did she anonymously give that consent to her husband for him to make the consent? It becomes one of those questions and dilemmas that you've got to think about.
And I
The
guess,
emergency would the husband be able to give that consent?
We're hoping a bona fide husband and everything else approve that he has the right to do that, yes. Yeah.
And I think instead of even using the word anemia, I might have just been, I might have vaguely been, you said you have a bleeding disorder, you know, something like that. So clearly the risk is that you will bleed too
Because
much.
there's different level of health literacy that people have.
Right, no, I'm very well aware of this.
So
That was
you,
my
so
bad.
you gotta make sure, I gotta take that into account.
Mhm.
There is no right or wrong way, but just things to keep in mind as you're going along and when you're dealing with different individuals. What else may be at issue, any other kind of conflict that you may have noticed?
I think my concern, was the cultural aspect, that if you throw it out the window, the client might shut down. Like she said, I'm not gonna do anything until I have a curandera.
So what could have been some options for that? What, I mean, if you had a chance as a team to get together, what would you have recommended? Or would you go along with that? Would you come up with something, or would you come up with an alternative? What would you suggest?
I-
Keeping in mind the environment where you are.
Well, I would want to mention that back in the day, Hispanics were actually refused services, and that could have aided, like, added to the fact that they sought out these folk doctors, and that wasn't until recently where they started, getting these new facilities, especially here in the valley. So, it might still be prevalent, but it would be nice to maybe have some connections to the area. If this is going to be, a standing hospital, a standing institution, like, why not establish these relationships in case there is a need to?
But what if you somewhere where it's not? What would be
I
an
think,
alternative?
Rubbing the egg I don't think if the fact that she wanted an egg rubbed over the child, I don't think that would cause any harm to the child.
But you're in an ICO unit.
Yeah, it might be one of those things where you discuss with the team
That's
what we can do to get the baby from the NICU into a more stable environment and explain that to the family. And once that transition takes place, that may be more opportune time to have the family's requests be met. And you can explain that to them, that eventually, once it's in a stable condition, that can be an opportune time.
So you're acknowledging and say,
Right.
I respect your culture and your tradition, but once we need to get you to a better place where that can happen.
Right.
Yes, that's an alternative way of how to do that without out and out saying no, as well as out and out and say, oh yeah, I'm gonna bring you into the NICU where everything is sterile and everything else, and we're gonna let you do this. Hospitals are not gonna let you do
I think
that.
also their economic status, like if you would have told them, we're looking for resources to, maybe in their head is like, I cannot pay for this, so maybe I'm gonna go with my people. So if maybe they would have been like, okay, we're gonna provide these services for you, maybe they would have been more at ease to receive the medical treatment.
Yeah.
I also think it's really important as far as the translator is concerned, that you as a professional are speaking directly to the patient.
Yes.
And that the translator is there just for the means of translation, because once you stop talking to the patient and start talking to the translator, you lose that possible emotional connection, and the patient might feel like, they're really invested in me, even though I don't speak the same language.
Yes.
So.
What did you learn about the other disciplines that you didn't know before now?
Like all day long today? Or just?
Or now, all day too. What did you learn about OT, the pharmacists, social workers that you didn't know?
Alternative care from the pharmacy, like we mentioned, ginger.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I think it's really important to get to the core, socially. What's the social problem? And I think that's where the social worker comes in, and it's so relevant, especially down here. You always want to, it's not just treating the patient, but also trying to figure out what's going on at home that's making the patient be here.
Yeah, like the anemia, just knowing that there was no prenatal care that could have exacerbated the early onset of delivery. But also, that was off the top of your head. That was great.
I honestly don't.
I thought also the pharmacy, I think sometimes I think that it's just pushing medications and you're like, no, that's not my number one thing to go to.
Yeah, I thought that was, because I didn't know all those other things you were talking about. Oh, that's cool. I may need to write this down. I can use that the next time I'm talking to
Just rubbing
someone.
ginger on myself.
If that works for him, it'll work for me.
If you wanna see the running model.
But I did like, I did appreciate that, you know, it's the nurse that's grabbing all the teams, like, you know what, I'm gonna go get this social worker, you know, right now we need this, I'm gonna go get them.
And then also the OT with the pain assessment, like I didn't know that OT did like the pain assessment and more in depth, you know,
Yeah.
so. we
Your
could do that,
session
so.
has now ended. Your session has now ended. Students can leave the building, and thank you, and I hope you had a great learning experience. Leave the building.
Please.
That's depressing.
Yeah, we're sorry.